Hello and welcome to Finger Thinking, a channel dedicated to analog creativity and productivity tools. Today I'd love to do a what's in the box and guess, but you would have seen the thumbnail for this video, which has already given the answer away, so we're going to jump straight in. We have a Princess 500. So this typewriter is very new to me. My brother found it and I've just brought it home, so I'm having a look at it for the first time. This is my first Princess 500. I have a Princess 300 that my brother also found me. He's a big help or hindrance when it comes to making the size of my typewriter collection bigger. I haven't played with the Princess 300 a lot, but it is a really pretty one, so I'll do a video on it soon. But the Princess 500, they're not very common, so I thought I'd have a sticky beak. I don't know if it works. It'll need a little bit of a clean, but yeah, let's discover together. Okay, so maybe a good place to start with this machine is a little bit on the history. So the Princess 500, there aren't very many of these around. We tend to see a lot more of the earlier hundreds, so like the 300, for example. They're much more visually attractive and very stylish machines, especially the ones from the 50s and 60s. So this is a lot more functional, as you would expect. By the time we kind of got to the mid 70s, a lot of the form had disappeared from design and it was all about function. So the Princess typewriters are manufactured by a German company called Keller and Knapich in Augsburg. So, and we can see that on the very back of the typewriter, there is a little kind of manufactured sticker. So we've got Princess, made in West Germany by Keller, Knapich, GmbH, Augsburg, sorry about that. So this company is still actually around today, but it's called KUKA, so K-U-K-A. And they're big in automation from what I can Google. So they do actually list on their website that they started making typewriters in 1949. So it was post-World War II. There'd been a lot of destruction as a result of the war. They were reconfiguring. They started out in 1898 making acetylene gas for lighting of houses and streetlights, because that's what they used back then. Post-World War, they started to diversify. They'd already started to diversify before the war, I think, but there was a lot more kind of industrial applications and machinery and design, and then they continued to move into automation through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and through to today. So the first typewriter by then was made in 1949. They focused on 5 kilo typewriters, so ultra lightweight portables. You're not going to find any Princess typewriters, which are kind of big desk beasts. So the Princess 500, this is slightly bigger than my 300, but it's still pretty light. So if it was 50 years ago and I had to travel to work and carry my own typewriter, or travel anywhere and carry my own typewriter, you could do that with this quite comfortably. It does, if anyone cares, fit in your hand luggage. Now, I don't have any information on when they stopped making these typewriters. From what I can see, this comes from about 1974, 1975, and there's no model after the Princess 500. Not surprising, the world was moving on. The other thing that I couldn't see was if this model was licensed under any other brands. It's a pretty familiar looking design. I think you'll agree. I look at it and I was getting like Royal Signet vibes or Imperial 200s from about the same era. I did pull one out and have a look, and they're same, but they're actually quite different. So rather than it being the same machine, it's more likely to just be similar design tastes at the time. So the first thing that I tend to do when I get a new typewriter is I'm evaluating the general condition of it. So this case is in great condition. You can actually carry it. Often cases this age, they're broken, they're busted, you aren't confident that they won't fall apart when you pick them up. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's leather. But the clasp, nicely engraved little clasp. I don't have the key for it, but the clasp does work. So at a different angle, there we go. That both of those sides push in quite nicely, which is pretty uncommon, I've found, for typewriter case clasps, because generally one side rusts up or gunks up. Anyway, so that works, which is good. And when we have a look at the typewriter, the first thing I'll do, the case itself comes off. It's just a single, whoops, bumped the camera, sorry about that. Just a little bar along here that hooks in under the base plate of the case. It does have, let's just move the typewriter out of the way for a second. Okay, it has a little flap here to store stuff, and this has nothing in it. So that means I have no manual, there's no brushes or anything that I have for this machine, but that's okay. But the kind of first layer seems to be in pretty reasonable condition. Just a little bit of the felt's pulled back. That's just fine. The fabric inside the case, which is just a cotton, is in surprisingly good condition. Needs a bit of a vacuum, but yeah, so hopefully, based on the condition of the case, the typewriter is going to be pretty good. Okay, so this machine, at first glance, it looks pretty clean. It's in pretty good condition. It's a little bit dusty because, from what I can gather, it's about 50 years old. There's a little bit of use. There's kind of a few scratches. If we look at the platen certainly has some typing marks on it. It could be in worse condition, like it's actually not too hard, but I haven't typed on it yet, so we'll find out if indeed it's as good as it looks. So the first thing I think I'll do is see if the carriage moves. There we go, that was in travel mode. There appears to be just a really common style travel lock lever here. So we'll pull that, it's in the back position, so we'll pull that forward, and there. The carriage up, okay, so there's a margin there, so this looks like it's in pretty good condition. That runs, oh, nice bell, love a nice bell. Let's try that again. Excellent. All right, so that seems to all move really smoothly. So that's great. Let's have a look at so the roller moves. That roller appears to be in good condition. If we move it out this side, this roller has seen some liquid paper, but that's also in good condition. So line spacing on this machine, we have, I don't know if you can actually see that in the camera. It looks like we have single, 1.5, and 2. So let's see if I'll just get something to prop this up a little bit more towards the camera. Okay, so just before I put it on a stand, one thing I will note is that the actual base of the case is integral to the machine itself. So it can come off. We'll have more of a look in a minute. We can see that these feet come through the base of the case and into the typewriter, into these rubber grommets. But I need to have a little bit more of a look at how we would get this off if I needed to do a clean. So we'll finish inspecting it first. Okay, so I have my pointing chopstick. On this side we have the spacing selector, so we can have single row spacing, we can have 1/2 line spacing or double line spacing. That's this knob here. We also have at the back here just a little, this is a 1/2 line adjuster. So if we have this in the off position, then the platen advances like normal. If we turn this on, then it allows us to move the paper up or down a little bit without throwing off the alignment, and do like a superscript or a postscript. So we'll leave that on. The way that's different, whereas if we just turn on the roller, the feed roller release, then that turns, but you can just move the paper around. So that's a nifty little thing, which I don't know if I have on many other machines. I might do, maybe I've just not noticed what it is. So that's that. We have a paper support. Okay, we have this little lever here. Now, this is a tabulator machine, so we set and clear our tabs individually down here. If we wanted to clear them all at the same time, then this knob, if you turn it up, there's nothing to clear, so it's not making a noise. But if we went into, if I've got no tab set, if we went and set a tab here and here, so we can see the machine stops. Then if I was to turn this clockwise, so away from me, did you hear the click? And then now that's cleared all tabs. So again, I might have that on a few other machines and not know what it is, but those Germans and their engineering. Okay, so what else do we have? I don't think there's anything that's not standard here. We have a ribbon selector, 3 colors, well, 2 colors and stencil mode. We have the tabs. Now this machine, I assume this comes off, this whole top section, because there's no just top plate. So I'm sure we'll pull this off now and have a look and see how we get to the ribbon, because I can already see in here that the ribbon, that looks like some weird kind of plastic carbon ribbon. So this could be interesting. Okay, so I still haven't done any typing on this ribbon, so actually maybe I will do that before we progress any further and see what the deal with that ribbon is. So let's put my paper support up. Okay, so that feeds pretty nicely. Okay, can't complain about how it feeds. That's good, that's pretty straight. Let's have a look. Now, let's set my margin in a more appropriate position. Right, okay, so we can see that the ribbon doesn't like to, oh, it's on red, let's move it on to black. The ribbon lifter, we might have to do some work there. Okay, so I don't know what's with this ribbon this ribbon lifter. We'll have a bit of a play, but it certainly seems to work okay. It types fine. I'll probably check all the keys after I take this weird ribbon out. And it's actually interesting print, because I haven't seen a carbon single-use ribbon on one of these machines. I'm just used to seeing the nylon or the silk ribbons. Something to note, that we do have a full 1 through 0, so 10-digit keys, which is good. It's a QWERTY, so I don't know much about this machine. My understanding is that the woman who sold it, she's a professional declutterer, so part of what she does is sell clutter from people. So obviously this was cluttering up someone's house, and it's now ended up with me. But whether it's 1 owner, 2 owner, 3 owner, I would imagine it's probably 1 owner before the declutterer lady, who was really just a middle person, which explains why it's in such reasonable condition. But yeah, so let's try and get to the bottom of this carbon ribbon. All right, so let's move this here. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was straightforward. Okay, so that's how you take the top off. You just pull it up. So, all right. So here we have, yeah, a carbon ribbon. All right, let's take this out. So what would be really interesting, and I might do this off camera, is have a bit of a sticky beak. Like if you're ever going to do something in secret, you certainly wouldn't be wanting to write your secrets on a ribbon like this. I can see some names in there. We are happy to supply you with something order. And I think there's something in there about exchange. Should you wish to exchange, yeah, anyway, so that could be interesting. Anyway, let's get rid of that because it's just curious to know if you've seen these sorts of typewriter ribbons for like your typical traditional machines. Leave me a comment. I'd be really interested to know because this is new for me. Anyway, we'll try the keys first and then I'll go and dig up one of these ribbons. Okay, so that failed a little bit on the line selector little knob, but that's okay. We can work with that. Okay. Oops, was that the machine or me? Okay, so we've got a bit of a sticky X. All right, okay, so that frees up with just a bit of use and that frees up. So that's not a surprise. If we look at the typeface on this, it's nothing special. If we look at the rest of the machine, I'll give it a bit of a blowout, but it's not too bad. There's a little bit of dirt in there. But yeah, so we'll do what I want to navigate, removing the base. And at this point in time, probably don't. So let's get our tools and clean this up. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is give it a bit of a blast with my new toy, my Compu Cleaner Expert. I've wanted one of these for ages. I thought the little battery powered ones, I was worried that it'd be a bit weak. It'd be like a gentle breeze rather than a strong gust of air. So this is a mains powered one. Just bought it on Amazon. It's got 2 speeds. It's pretty noisy, so don't do this while the kids are asleep or people are watching the television or anything. But let's just see what I can blow out of this before I get too further down the track. All right, I'm just going to take this off camera and blow it out completely upside down. Okay, so there was a bit of dirt that came out of it. It's good to get the low-hanging fruit out. We can see, I turn the carriage lock off. This is a little bit cleaner in here than it was, for example. But to really get in and get the rest of it out, it's going to require a little bit of like a wet surface. So let's do a little bit of cleaning. We'll get out the Q-tips and the isopropyl alcohol and the wipes and just give this a bit of a once over. It's good to do that just for hygiene reasons as well. Okay, so it appears that the only thing I really need to kind of fix with this machine, I didn't do a very good job of that, did I? Is the ribbon lifter. So this ribbon lifter is, well, doesn't really move much. We saw that beforehand. It doesn't want to come down. So if we just put our travel lock back on, if we have a look at this, I'm hoping that it's just because it's a little bit bent. So this ribbon lifter seems to be fouling on this plate, definitely on this side. If I turn it around on this side again, it appears to be fouling. So that's probably just from someone being kind of, sorry if you just didn't see that in here. That's probably from someone not doing a very good job loading and unloading the ribbon, being a bit careless with it. So I'm going to have a bit of a play and see if I can get that straightened back out again. Okay, so what I don't want to do is push the ribbon lifter back too far and then have this starting to foul here. So as I just want to bend this bit, I will put just something for this to support the bottom part of the plate as I try and bend this top part. All right, so if we have a look, it certainly doesn't seem to be fouling here anymore. Let's turn it around. This side is still fouling here, so we'll do the same thing over here. Yeah, when I actually look at it, it's going to be so hard to show on camera. I'm really sorry. But just, you can actually see the bend here. Someone's tried to pull the ribbon out and they've pulled it back over, probably whilst it was in this position up here. Okay, so it's not technically touching anymore. Let's see if it makes a difference. No, it's still doesn't want to return. I will try putting a ribbon in it and see if maybe just a bit of use sorts that out. Otherwise, I'm going to have to think harder. Okay, so I've identified the problem. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to fix it, but at least I know what the problem is. So this ribbon lifter, rather than hitting keys, I'll just move the lifter linkage itself. So it goes up, doesn't go down. So we have this whole thing's been bent a little bit. So we straightened up the actual the ribbon guide, but doesn't come down. If I cross over my hands, push this back, look what happens. It works like it should. So it is apparent that, I don't know if I can see that on camera. It is apparent that this guide is sitting out a lot more. I can't fit this tool down behind this, but I can fit the whole thing in there. So this has been bent out. Now I just have to figure out how I bend it back, considering it's attached. Whoops. Considering it's attached to this bracket in here, I have to figure out how to bend this back so it stays there. All right, I will be back. Okay, so what I'm going to try is, much as I suspect I might need to take the platen off, I want to avoid it partly because it looks like it's quite a job. It's not an easy lift out platen. And the more screws you take out, the bigger chance you have of messing it up. So I'm going to see if I can just take this, if I take this plastic cover off, I might have a little bit more leverage just to bend this plate back. So I'm just going to put this in here so I'm not going to damage anything when I take the screws out. There is one. There is two. Okay. So I can now take this off, and I can spend a little bit of time trying to bend this plate back, because it's this part of the plate that's fouling on the ribbon lifter. And it might take me a few goes of bending, then putting this back in place to see if there's enough clearance, and then bending, and so on. All right, let's see if that's enough. Right, it's looking better already. Let's tighten that up and see if we can get it to work with a ribbon in it. So these are slotted holes on the guide. So what I am going to do is, rather than have it right in, I might have it a little bit further out this side than I do on this side. You can see that the gap's on the inside. I might keep the gap on the outside over here, just because that's where the ribbon lifter works. All right, that's still looking good. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I have a Grip 9 universal ribbon here. The reason that's not actually what came out of it. This is I think a Group 4. Just let me check that. Yes, it is. The 3 holes are a Group 4 ribbon. The 4 holes should be fine. So this is the ribbon I have available. It's only a cheapie that I use for testing these. So this will be a little bit messy, but let's keep going. Okay, I'll hit my hands with the wet wipe before I touch anything because it's pretty inky and nasty. Okay, well, that's everything clean, everything working. So let's put a piece of paper in and see how it types. Try it on red. Does this have an exclamation point? Yes, it does. Yay. All right. So let's do an individual key test. Okay, so the type looks great. It's a pretty standard Pica font, but it's nice and clean. We've got a bit of a dropped E there, but that's probably me and my not so clean shift action from the G, because everywhere else it's dead straight. Got a bit of smudging on the red. That comes from being a cheap ribbon, nothing else more than that. So I really like this machine. It's pretty functional to look at, but if you just want a workhorse that feels good, and certainly if you have strong hands, you'll enjoy typing on this machine. I have not bloke strong hands, but for a female I have quite strong hands. If you have light hands, oh, actually there's one thing I forgot to show you. So let's take the top back off. So there is on this side a type strength setting. So we've got, it's on light at the moment. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 settings. So if we go back up here and I do some more typing next to what I've just done. And it seems to make no difference. I'm always curious about these typing kind of strength selectors because I've never really noticed them to make much difference. So if we look at those 2 rows there, I'll zoom in. There's no difference between them, but it is there should you decide that you wanted to use it. So I'll just leave it on light for now. Sometimes it does affect the touch. Sometimes it doesn't. These lugs come in at the front. Excellent. Okay, well, that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me again here at Finger Thinking. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Have a great day.